So he'd take 2 channels, and he'd take the pitch so that it's, like, so when you play it back, it'll be faster, so he'd, like, slow it down, and then he would do a 2-channel mix, and then he'd mix another 2-channel mix to that mix, and then when he was on WJLB, he would then mix those, have a stack of carts that he could go through all those Cheech and Chong samples and stuff, and then he would mix vinyl on top of that for the radio. So it was like what you heard was physically impossible. It was, nobody mixes on 6 turntables, and you might hear 5 seconds of a song. It's actually, it's crazy, but then DJs in Detroit attempted to learn how to do that, and we got the 45 beat, 45 RPM ghetto stuff, everybody taking their turntable apart and pitching it up so it goes plus 16 and stuff, but he was doing it with, by slowing down the tape so that when he played it back, it played really fast and it sounded crazier. And then the way that he would excerpt stuff, it'd be like, if you heard a song for 90 seconds on Jeff Mills, that meant he was taking a bathroom break in a Wizard mix. It was like 45 seconds or something, but it was the most exciting 45 seconds of your life.
So was Jeff Mills the first?
That blew my mind. That was the first guy I heard mix like that. It's like I heard mixing, but I hadn't heard it where it was like, it's like you have to go get that record, or it's like, I have that record. It's like, I have that, Release Yourself by the Aleems. You remember how it was played in Detroit, in the 80s, and it's always a DJ doing 2 copies of the intro. It was like, I bought the record, and I was like, it only does that for 10 seconds, and it goes into the song. They would do that on the radio for 90 seconds or more. I thought that's what the song was, And then I grew up in an extreme suburb, so my first real exposure was seeing the scene. Which is, for anybody who's here, is whack, but for me it was amazing. I'm seeing Jam Silk, Music is the Key, or Chippy's Time to Jack.
Sorry, right?
Yeah, and No Way Back, and and stuff like this, and it's like, so I'd go to record stores in Pontiac and pick this stuff up. My first house record was Music is the Key, and now that I'm doing research, it turns out that's pretty early.
How important is the actual party or club scene to the music itself in terms of, when music is being made, do you think it's being made specifically for the clubs? Does the club influence that? Or do you think if there was no venue for it, there would still be, the music would still be similar? You would still have this music?
I think the club scene works against the music being good. I think that it's, obviously it's a way of, it's capitalism or whatever, but it's not like it's touching on the art of it. There's places that do, or where it happens because they have a sophisticated crowd. But I think look at how, this is 2014, and we thought that techno would break sometime in the early 90s. And now it's like Skrillex or some other karate chop shit, and it's for children. I basically bar mitzvah techno or something, and it's really lost the point. When will the bass drop?
I honestly believe that the internet's fucked up the music more than anything, because you probably have more people that are making music based on mixes that they see online or websites that probably never even go to clubs, and they're making things that sound immediate. So this is why you have this more immediate sounds happening, because when guys were making tracks for clubs in the 80s, 87, 88, 89 when it was coming out, that was really groundbreaking, But you had to be there in order to be a part of it, or you heard these pre-mixed tapes that were, whether they were on BMX or GCI or JLB or GPR or DRQ or LBS or whatever it was, or BLS, so there was a hunger, I think, that made it even more interesting to make music, because you had to wait until it was played on the radio again. If you didn't tape it, you had to wait for that show to come back on, and then you try to be creative with listening listening to the show by making your own pause tapes and stuff. So you sit there waiting to make it and get your two little tape decks and put them together and stuff and start. And that I think helped to feed the creativity of music, as well as the acid house scene, not only in Chicago, but the rave scene that was happening based off of acid house music in London. You know, and that just bounced a whole new thing over here to us. We were playing, we call it acid and you know, Adrenaline MOD and a guy called Gerald and stuff like that were directly influenced from Juan, Derek, Larry Heard, Frankie Knuckles, et cetera, et cetera. So there was that kind of language that was going transglobally that happens a lot faster now, and I think it's a lot more sterile. There's not enough soul that's in getting it. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, now you have a lot of the artists are releasing these sample packs, you know, and a lot of people are starting to sound the same. Everybody uses the same software. But I remember, I don't know if you remember this, Carl, but I remember going to the Music Institute and seeing Carl and Derek come from the studio with the reel-to-reel in hand, going to the Music Institute and testing that track out. That was the essence of feeling what you've done in the studio, feeling what could be, you know, getting the crowd's response and seeing if you had to go back and tweak it or not, you know. And that was, like you said, that was the point where we're missing right now, you know. I mean, I think now people are so influenced on trying to make a track that's going to hit the Beatport charts, or, you know, trying to make a track that's sounding like the trend at the moment. And, you know, it's kind of lost, it has lost the essence so much that now we've kind of, you know, lost the way when it comes to being a true artist. You know, a lot of artists now also release so much music, and you don't have to release that much music. You know, a lot of artists send me demos, and they will list the labels that they've released on, and it has to be at least 20 labels. And I'm saying to myself, I'm like, why do you release so many tracks? You know, you kind of lose your way. But now it's all about, okay, I want to be down with this brand. I want to be down with this label. You know, just in case they do something together, I want to be down with them. So, you know, it's kind of, you know, those guys, and all the tracks sound the same, and there's no vision that, especially that we used to have, you know, being innovators or whatnot. So that's sort of what I've gotten from today's music.
You know, one of the best lessons that I learned was, you remember this wine commercial, Orson Welles, where he would say, there's no...
Sell more wine before it's time.
Yeah, exactly. That was the lesson when I was starting to make music, was you can do all this music, but it doesn't mean that it has to come out, you know, because some of it's not very good. You know, so you look at making music as like test samples. You try it out, it doesn't work, you go on, and then maybe you go back and take the melody from this and then put it with a new track, or, you know, whatever it is. And a big lesson was Suburban Night.
Art of Stalking?
Art of Stalking. That record was on cassette. When I met Derek May in 87, 88, it was on cassette. And it had been on cassette for 2 years before I met Derek. And it still didn't come out for another 6 to 8 years after.
It's like 1990 that gets released. Yeah.
So maybe not as long as 6 to 8 years, but, you know, it took a while for it to come out. And, you know, he played at Music Institute, and I don't know if you were begging him, but everybody else was begging him, including me, like, when are you going to put this record out? This record is so incredible. He'd say, people are just not ready for it yet. And that was really important. As a musician, as an artist, as a producer, especially when you're producing music, you have to be able to gauge whether people are ready for it or if they're not ready for it. But now, because of the Beatport charts especially, a friend of mine who travels with me, you'd think he's Clyde Davis because he's always talking about the Beatport charge. He's not talking about, well, I did this record and this, like, it's great, I'm gonna fill it out a bit, here, play it, let's see how it sounds in the club or whatever. It's like, yeah, well, it was on Beatport, blah, 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 and it becomes this commerce thing, instead of it being a spiritual, soulful, and release. When you're having sex, you're not having sex to get on the charts. So when you make music, it should be as a release. It should be that thing that just makes you feel really good at the end of it that you have this product. And in many cases, maybe you might even want to hold it to your chest and cover it a little bit, and just listen to it and say, wow, this is really some good music. Just play it to your friends and give it out, and then let it grow.
Right. Yeah, I know me being, a DJ and a music lover, nowadays, I go through music and I go thousands of promos, night and day, listening to them. I listen to so much music that when I hear something that's decent, it's like, okay, this is cool, but it's really not because I've been listening to so much crap.
Exactly. That it's like this weird promo here, where it's like that's good compared to the other promos, but that's not good enough for me to play it on the floor. It's a bunch of filters you have to go through.
It's amazing.
Layers. Yeah, the amount of promos to go through now compared to when I used to go to Record Time or flip through the 100 records that were available that actually came in. It's not 100 records. It's way more than that. It's so many things are just digitally released, so there isn't the requirement to make physical products, so the budget doesn't slow it down. It's just kind of take up file space, so.
You guys have touched on some great points with that, and one thing I'd like to ask is I talk to a lot of younger. You guys are obviously early artists, but when I talk to younger artists, they see the same thing, but I hear a lot that they feel like they have to release a lot of tracks to even get their name out there, because they think if they just do 1 or 2 releases a year, it's going to get kind of lost in the shuffle. What do you guys think of that attitude, even though you've already expressed that it's not as good as it was originally? Do you think that's true for a new artist? Do they have to release a lot?
Well, it is true because they will get lost in the shuffle. The attention span of most people nowadays, especially because of the internet, you're just getting, thrown all this stuff at you that you're going to forget it very quick. But how do you counter that? I don't think you counter it by trying to put out 20 tracks individually that are going to sell for $1.99 on Beatport, and that's kind of, with no promotion, that's kind of how you get it out there. How did Flying Lotus get noticed? I know Flying Lotus because of albums. Roz G, that I'm finding out about now, album. Was that album on Stone's Throw. And that's the thing about a lot of our music, electronic music, is that, I'm sorry? It becomes so singles-based where it doesn't give the opportunity for you to grow and be seen a little bit more serious as an artist, So back, and I hate to keep saying back, it's just, it puts me into a category that I don't necessarily want to be back in the day.
Well, we started off here going all the way back.
Y'all went back. I'm here. I'm in the future. So anyway, when Strictly Rhythm was a strong label, there was an artist for Strictly Rhythm. Her name was Moneypenny. Remember her, Miss Moneypenny?
Oh yeah, Brand X.
She used to promote parties and stuff. And she was putting out records on Strictly Rhythm, and she didn't care if they sold 300, 500 copies because she could get gigs based on it. And that's what people are trying to do on Beatport, is they're trying to get gigs. They're not trying to be seen as an artist. They want to be up there like Richie Hawtin on stage rocking 10,000 people. That's their objective, getting paid for it or not.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing.
I spoke to an artist a while back, and he was like, yeah, putting out music now is like a flyer. This is what I'm doing right now. And so your point is real valid.
Do you think that devalues music in the long
Yes.
term?
Totally. And so you get a lot of half-baked ideas, and also because it's not being appreciated. It's, a friend of mine was tasked with a job for Richie Houghton to find out every good record that came out on Beatport in one single week. Took him 3 weeks to get through all the records that came out in 1 week on Beatport. like the volume, it makes it so hard to find. How do you find the new Larry Heard? It's not like Larry Heard was promoting himself. You know, it's like the exact opposite. So it's how do you find these raw geniuses and stuff? And it's very difficult because many of the scenes don't touch each other. It's like they're very micro. Like in techno, you're supposed to really, like in faceless techno, the kind of Berghain main floor stuff, you're supposed to release like a record every 2 months. You know, another EP on another label. It's like you could be on 5 labels and it's okay. But how do you make an impact as an artist now? Well, one is by being awesome, and others maybe by having a performance, getting somebody else to notice you. It's not a simple answer. You really have to be innovative because it's an oversaturated market.
You know, one thing I noticed with the explosion of the EDM scene and big festivals, a lot of the acts are becoming a lot larger productions. Like, I've been managing the main stage of the festival for the last few years, and when I first started, it was the DJ would show up with his records, ask me where I play, and now there's a whole video crew, there's the production managers, there's you're talking to 6 different people before you even meet the artist, and then when the artist plays, a lot of times their sets are already pre-programmed. The lighting team, they have the list of the set, like it was a rock show, what records are going to be played in which order. What are each of your opinions on that compared to just a completely impromptu, on-the-fly set, which is what DJs were more known for? Again, going back about 20 years ago, DJs would pretty much throw the records on the floor, and you could tell, they'd be.
It's like a DJ is like on the real level is like a shaman or something, and they're channeling an experience. So if they don't channel the experience in real time, or maybe it's like a jazz musician, like what jazz musician could play in a room and not feel what the people were feeling and then respond back to them. They're not doing their art. So if a DJ is just pre-programmed, then it's not truly the art form, it's a representation of the art form, because the art form is inherently improvisational.
Also, I think that, like Carl said, you said too the same thing, that people's attention spans are so short. You get these festivals and people are playing 1 hour, and that artist is trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do in that hour to really make an impact? So you get an artist that thinks like that, and then, versus what they used to do years ago, the markets change. Kids are not as patient anymore. Most of them are only there for the event anyways. They're not even there to really for the DJ. Especially when you got gimmicks now, you keep throwing DJs where that's part of the performance. They look at a DJ who's just playing records now and say, wow, okay, this is boring. I played last year before Square Pusher, and I played an 1.5-hour set at the festival, and he came on, he had a crazy lighting show, and it kind of took, for me, I had a lot of response from when people said that it kind of took the air out of it a little, because it was too much of a pre-programmed set. The set was totally different than what I did, which is cool, but I just think that too much of an artist trying to give too much at one time can be a bad flag.
Do you guys prefer playing in smaller venues for smaller crowds or larger venues for larger crowds?
Varies. I like being outside sometimes in the summer, but also for me, every gig is different. So I'm kind of on both ways on that.
I like playing smaller crowds better. I like playing little small clubs. I like it when the turntables aren't that much higher than people are because I can touch the people, they can kind of touch me, and it makes it harder for me to get in my own little world because when you're on stage, and the stage is from that point to that building over there, it seems like, and it gets kind of lonely on stage sometimes, so, you know, I get kind of engulfed in my own little world, but what I like to do is I like to play in front, before somebody where everybody's waiting for her. So like, say I play right before Avicii or something, I know everybody's there to see Avicii, so I can play whatever the fuck I want to play. So it gives me the opportunity to open them up to some other shit, you know. And luckily it's not like Prince opening for the Rolling Stones and people start throwing shit at you and stuff, but, you know, it's like, you know, I get to, you know, I still have to take that job seriously of trying to get people to move with me, but, you know, also like, well, you know, I want to play some Liaisons Dangerous or something so I can just go on and play it and then just kind of laugh because you'll see like one person out there that's like, yeah, the rest of them like, what is this? And then I got to get back into it, so get back and try to get the people on my side.
Seems like such a challenge to balance with the massive crowds, the festivals and stuff, to actually have an intimate connection. I guess it's possible. The lighting and everything, of course, they're going to keep going one up. That's the nature of mankind, is to one up ourselves. You know, so the visuals are insane. The projection mapping, you know, like where they can, you know, like I can project on only the projector, you know, or something. You know, like all this stuff. It's interesting, but still the core of it is great music, and it's like he said, I was fog and a strobe light was like all in a sound system and a feeling. That's all it takes, but it doesn't mean that shows have to be poorly produced.
It's almost like a camouflage too, because the music can be really not good, but if you got a dope light show, the show is good.
Yeah. But it's also like, you know, there's a number of famous rock artists, for instance, the Grateful Dead, that toured with an insane live show with an audience on the same drugs that these audiences are on, and those guys were able to improvise the lights going to the improvised music match it beautifully like a work of art, no problem. So they, you know, it doesn't have to be this like perfectly crazy robot video stuff, you know.
Where do you guys see all this going in the future?
I think we're here already. The future is now. You know. I mean, when you have websites that now simulcast straight from the party to your home, that's the future. You don't even have to leave the house. That right there is amazing, you know. When you have, you know, I would say probably the next best thing would be teleporting. Other than that, you know, teleporting to the game. But I mean, we're in the future.
That would be nice. That'd be really nice. I still like Kraftwerk's idea of like one performance for a multitude of cities at once. You know, they would be in a central place, like they'd be the server, and then there'd be a bunch of cities that would be like the client, and you know, so they perform for 8 cities at once from their home studio. Like, you know, there's still crazy ways to go, but you know, people say we live in this advanced technological age. I think that we live in a hilariously terrible age where our technology barely works, like, and we're just, everything's crashing all the time. Everything glitches. Like if I'm watching you, you know, on a webcast, it's like all of a sudden your arm's gonna stop, and then like a minute later it's another song. You know, and like that kind of stuff. Also, like not feeling. It's like digital. It's like that thing where we're all connected, but we're all alone. You know, it's a really spooky sci-fi thing. You know, so it's like, how do we get connected again? Like there's some time in the future people are like, we're going to get past this age of irony, and people are going to want to feel again. That's the future I'm looking forward to.
Well, I think that this Da Vinci, whatever that thing was, I think by purity artists is really the future of seeing this music grow. Because with electronic music, it has been so faceless over time and kind of revered, and people were afraid to touch it. But you get this opportunity now, especially if people do it tastefully and they do it nice. You know, I'm not talking about doing a parody of the stuff that's the equivalent of shooting disco records out of a cannon in Soldier Field, but you know, and not something that's going to destroy the music, and not something that's going to destroy the artist, but something that just makes it easier accessible to the household, to a grandmother, to a mom, to whatever, where they can say, "Oh yeah, I know who that guy is." You know, that's kind of funny. That's a funny joke that they did. You know, and then you'll see people open up to it a lot quicker and a lot easier than it going underground again, and just you know, because I mean, with rap you can't kill that thing with all the pesticides that you want, and it's because you know
Part of the culture now.
It's part of the culture.
It is a culture.
You can joke about it, and in some cases, like Wu-Tang Clan, they were so serious that they joked about it themselves. You know, so it made it real comfortable in relation to that. And that's where it has to be with electronic music. It has to be that comfortable satire, that comfortable.
Yeah, but with rap though, at least you have a story behind the music. You know, like you said, our music is pretty much instrumental, where you have to project your own thoughts into it. So therefore, you put a parody to like that one that when the bass drops, it was such a joke, and there was no lyrics. They were making fun of the DJ, you know. But with the rap, you know, at least you have a story behind it. You have, you know, meaning. You know, you hear the struggle behind it, you know. And with our music, you really don't hear the struggle unless you're a purist, unless you know our music from the beginning.
That is true. It is very, you have to research to know the story with electronic music. And to understand these really abstract concepts of things that maybe even are gone now, but are still alive in certain artists. And I think it helps the knowledge. A lot of people have that knowledge, so it keeps some careers going, but you know, it's a strange year. It's like this year, Daft Punk won Album of the Year. When they accepted the awards, they were wearing masks. They had other people speak for them. It's like a techno fantasy come true. Like that you know, that is like the Drexciya fantasy. You know, of like being there in a mask and never saying anything. Like that's incredible. But we got like these parody versions of it now. Like, you know, we got Mickey Mouse as a DJ. You know, like literally. You know, disco ball head, you know?
It's a DJ Shuffle, actually. I wonder.
You know, but it's there's a lot of way for the music still to grow, I think.
And we got one last question. It comes from the audience. And the question is, how did each of you feel the first time you heard one of your own tracks that you'd released being played by another DJ?
It was weird because, you know, me personally, when I'm in the studio, I mean, at that time, I just wanted to be down with the guys who made the music, you know. I didn't think about hearing my music in a club at that time. And the first time I heard it was, I would say, in Amsterdam when I used to live there in '93, DJ Marcello. He played my track that sampled Babatula Olatunji, which one of the first tracks that you put up there. My first track was a sample of that track. And when I heard him play it, I think someone told the DJ Marcelo that I just arrived in the club, and he played it maybe 5 minutes later, like, you know, and it was one of those feelings like, wow, I'm in Europe for the first time in Amsterdam. I'm hearing my track being played, and the first thing I realized, sound quality wasn't up to par. I'm like, I gotta go back to the drawing board and get back in the studio and put some more bass in it. And you know, it's all about the bass. But yeah, that's how it was when I first heard my first track.
I first heard my stuff played on WJLB, and I felt like I had accomplished my mission. My first record, I attempted to make a record for Detroit. All the artists were touring, constantly touring as a permanent tour for all the artists that I had grown up seeing play and going to clubs to see them play, so they weren't here anymore. So I wanted to make music for Detroit, and it was like an experiment, and I felt like when my song was used as WGLB's theme song for their own New Year's party, that like I had totally achieved my mission.
It was, for me too, myself, Kevin Sanderson, and another guy, we had a remixing team, and we remixed this song by Karen White, which was an old R&B singer. It was a track that was produced by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, and we did a remix, and we did a remix, and I heard it on FM 98 WJLB too. Like, I think Dwayne in the mix with Bradley, they played it. And that was like my first validation of also knowing that I could do this. And it was on MTV with Downtown, Julie Brown on MTV's Clubland as well. So I heard it on there as well. So that was one of the first, that was like on a more national, global level.
The first time that I heard one of my songs played, I felt like Diana Ross in Mahogany.
Hey, you gotta see that scene in order to know.
So was that a good song?
Yeah, I think it was probably Far Beyond one of those tracks that was played.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay, great. Well, that was absolutely a great discussion. I got some really good information out of it. I hope everyone here did as well. With absolutely Pullen, the university, who put this together. Special thanks to Brendan, who helped me source a lot of those albums that you saw in the original PowerPoint presentation.